again, and welcome everyone to today's 10-Minute Tuesdays, Sam's 10-Minute Tuesdays. It was a great week last week. I'll tell you all about it. But thanks again, Joe, for being part of this, being the co-host of this weekly broadcast that we really try to create to change people's lives, don't we?
Oh yeah, and it's great because we get to help them each week, but we get to help them break it down and make the best use of the most valuable commodity any of us have, which is our time.
Yeah, well put. You know, also I have kind of a confession to make, and that is, ever since last week when we talked about quality or what gets measured tends to get done, I really started taking that to heart more and more. And you know what? It doesn't matter, guys, men and women that are listening to us today. If you're new to the business or experienced, we all get in bad habits, and that's why I like going back to the basics. And because of that, I started measuring more and more of what I was doing, and really paying more focus on it. I had a great week this past week, so we could all learn from it.
I had some things that disrupted it, but I tried to make the best use of the time because we all have the same amount of time, 86,400 seconds a day. It doesn't matter if you're Elon Musk or if you just passed your licensing exam. You have the same amount of time each day that you get to use every single day. And so how are you going to maximize it? And I see way too many reps wasting their time, goofing around, being inefficient, whether it's in terms of their analysis, their phoning, what they're actually doing in meetings, having additional meetings that are not necessary to move the client along. One of the things that the great writer Sun Tzu, author of The Art of War, said is that generals should be rated and regarded not on having long drawn out battles, but having quick victories. So if you can do a project or write a case and you get paid $5,000, if you can do that in 5 hours versus 50 hours, you then have more time to either do more of the cases like that, or go take that time and invest it in doing charity work, improving your education so that long range you get better, spending time with your family, things that are more fun or more valuable than dorking around overall. I'm sure you got some stories around that too, Mickey.
I do, yeah. So this is kind of cool to talk about today. We've been talking about the 4 truisms of Sam the last 3 weeks now. The first one being sales is a numbers game. Second, quality activities produce quality results. Third, what gets measured tends to get done. And this week, time management is a misnomer. And really, that's the foundation of this entire company. That's what we started on. And it was all because I was a very, successful insurance agent by most people's standards. I won the car, I won the trips, built the big house, went hella hiking Canadian Rockies, and I was successful. But my business fell off track. So I thought, well, how do I get my business back on track? And I might have said before in a previous episode that I went to my boss, asked him for some help, and he said, "No, you know how to do it. Just go do it." Came back a couple months later. He said, "Just go, blank and do it, or I'll get somebody else." And so I went out to seek how I can become more successful. And I went back to the basics of setting goals and keeping score. But most importantly, I became a kind of a time management junkie. I used all kinds of calendar books and time management systems. Franklin Planner, Day Timer, Day Systems, Day Runner, Priority Manager. I walked across hot coals with Tony Robbins. I thought, if I could just manage this thing called time, I'm gold. Franklin Covey, everybody. I was studying everybody. I finally realized that you cannot manage time, only activity or how you spend it. That's why I've said for years, the time management is a misnomer, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yep. And certainly, I know you were talking about in your analogy. You had I think last week you had quite a obstacle you had in traffic. So time management is a misnomer. It's all really, the only really matters is how you spend it, and you have to optimize that time no matter what you do.
Yep. And I don't like the term spend it, because you can spend it or you can invest it. Improving your skill set is investing. Meeting with other experts or developing or applying systems like Sam Suite and Sam Book is investing, because you are going to get dividends off that down the road versus sitting there watching 90 Day Fiance or whatever.
Yeah, good point. Big difference between spending it and investing it, as I know you talk to your clients about all the time. But the fact of the matter is, you can't manage time. And if anybody thinks you can, try it. Try speeding it up or slowing it down. Try saving it, try stopping it.
Yeah.
As I once heard from a Chinese guy, a good friend of my best friend, he said, time's going to pass anyway, no matter what you do. You can't speed up, slow it down, can't lease it, can't buy it. The clock is going to be ticking whether or not you want to or not. The real key is really like the old poem or about the dash. It's what you do with that time in between. That's actually what I did. I did a speech many years ago on that topic, and it was here. Let me grab it. I did this speech 30 years ago, long before the poem or about the dash ever came in. I said, you know what? What's most important? This is my goal. I want to live to be 100 years old. And so the day I was born, or the day I die, or the time in between, the dash. And again, it doesn't, granted, well, you can't do anything unless you're born. You die, hopefully, we die, you end up, Dying with Zero is the one book you were telling me about.
Nope.
But hopefully at the end of your road, you hope you live life to the fullest. But the real question is, what happened in the time in between? And the same can be said about your day, whether your work day is 9 to 9, 9 to 5, 12 to 9, whatever it is. It's what are you doing with that time in between? Because you cannot manage time. Time management is a misnomer. You can only manage activity.
Right. And one of the things, going back to the days of the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, what do you say no to so that you can focus on the most important activities? For us, it's picking up the phone, it's seeing the client, it's things like that. It's not picking up your dry cleaning at 3 o'clock. Guess what? The dry cleaner is still open at 5 o'clock. Take the extra time and work. Push the things through. It's not filling out paperwork. You can hire an assistant to do that, and you can go help more people. Okay, you can run more activity, which then produces greater results. Okay, going back to one of my favorite things, talking about introductions versus cold calling. It takes 100 cold calls on average to get 2 appointments, of which 1 will keep. That's literally half a day that you're spending doing that. You can take half that time and invest it to learn how to get introductions, which then make your phoning much more efficient. You can make 10 dials instead of 100 dials, and people will hang up on you a lot less. You're going to have better results coming out, and it builds an introduction-based business. Okay, so it's managing the activity as opposed to the time. That's
right. And in this last minute that we have to talk about, I like to say you really came up with a great quote before. I'm gonna phrase it a little bit differently, combine the two of them. And that is, it can just be time, don't just spend it, invest it. To your point, make sure that you're using the time wisely in the car. Like I know you did during that time you had that 3-hour long commute.
Yep.
Now, what'd you do?
I called clients. I called potential clients. I listened to audio and video, wasn't watching it, even though we were standing still. That fed my brain, fed my soul, motivated me, helped me better. So there's nothing I could do to speed up traffic, but I was able to take best advantage of the situation and maximize my output for the constraints of that time. And that's the choice that we make as representatives and business owners constantly. What are we doing now? Is a good activity or a bad activity? Because ultimately, sales is an activity game. And introductions help you win that game every single day.
That's right. Everybody remember, that's why in sales, when it comes to sales, time management is a misnomer, but also time is money. Thanks again. God bless you all. Remember the 4 truisms.
Have a great day.